The lighting is on point. All right, y'all, what's up? So, got this little space here, and basically, what I want to go over today is the whole intention behind wins is weekly inspiration and nourishment for the soul. And what better day to do that than on a Sunday? So I know right now a lot of us don't really know what to do with ourselves during the week or with the free time that we have. And I want to talk about that. I want to talk about how we can set ourselves up for success even in this time where it feels very overwhelming and stressful and filled with anxiety. Who's on? Hi, Ashley. Okay, so I'm just going to be on the floor because I'm more comfortable that way. But basically, what I want to ask you guys is, in the past 2 weeks, we might have felt a whole bunch of emotions. And in those emotions, when we're feeling emotions, sometimes, many times, we don't know how to process emotions. Sit. He is very, very, come on, sit down, boy. Very loving. And when we don't know how to process them, we will do one of two things. We will, down, Cuddy, down. We will either put them in the back burner and pretend like we don't have them. I'm gonna put him away if he keeps on doing that. This is not my dog, it's my cousin's dog, and I live with my cousin. So he's just a very loving dog, which honestly, I appreciate, but Cuddy, get down. Down. Chill. Relax. Okay, so we're going to do one of two things with our emotions. We're either going to put them on the back burner and pretend like they're not there, or, okay, I'm going to take them out. Come on. I'll be back. Go play, bud. Go play. Okay, I'm back. So we're either going to put our emotions away and pretend like they're not there and try to distract ourselves with overeating, oversleeping, watching, movies, watching something to kind of distract ourselves from what we're really feeling. And maybe, we'll go exercise. And those are all great coping strategies as opposed to becoming depressed or taking it out on other people. And the point of what I want for this episode really is for you guys to honor where you're at. Because it is overwhelming. It is stressful. And I think the biggest thing that we are not really doing for ourselves in this time is giving ourselves the love, the honor, the respect, and the patience to really say, what do I feel right now? And what is it that I need in this time? And what is it that I want to be, or who do I want to be moving forward? And in order to do that, you have to start at the basis. You have to start at the foundation, which is really, again, honoring where you are and acknowledging where you are and giving yourself love and appreciation for where you are. So I want to talk about something called the emotional scale. Have you guys heard of the emotional scale? Give me a heart if you've heard of the emotional scale. So not a lot of people have heard of the emotional scale, and I actually learned about this through the work of Abraham Hicks, Esther and Jerry Hicks. And it's been game-changing, it's been life-changing for me because to be really able to understand my emotions, then I'm able to reflect and say, oh, I see where that's coming from, or I see why I'm feeling that way, and then to acknowledge it and then to be able to navigate from there, right? It's like being lost on the ship or lost in the ocean and saying, oh shit, I don't know where I am, then how are you gonna know where to go? Or if you're on your way from here to New York and you don't have any directions and you get lost, it's hard to understand where you gotta go, what turns you gotta make, and what things you have to do to get you back on track. Make sense? So with the emotional scale, basically we have the bottom here and the top. And understand that you are, can you guys see that? Cool. You guys are, we're all in various points on this scale for various things in our lives. For our careers, for dating, for food, for a relationship with ourselves, for our relationship with our families, for our relationship with health, for our relationship with, our ideas of what we want to do in our lives. Like, we're here all the time depending on where we are, so I just want to make that a point there. So here we have that passion and excitement, purpose, just feeling alive, right? Where we all want to be. And then as we go down the scale, we're feeling depression. You guys might not be able to see that, but all like the negative emotions would be down here. And then everything in between as we climb. So as we climb up the scale, for example, when we have depression and we're like, okay, how do we move up? In the middle here, we have hope, right? We have hope. We have frustration, being annoyed, anger, anxiety. And these are like this spiral like this. The bigger it gets, the bigger it gets. Whatever it is that we're spending time in, it's going to perpetuate. It's going to get bigger. It's going to get broader until it kind of like slaps us in the face and we're like, oh, this is what's going on inside. So when you think about that, I want you guys to ask yourselves, what have I been feeling? Obviously, it's been anxiety. It's been stress. It's been overwhelm. It's been confusion. It's been, oh my gosh, what's next? And in those moments when you're feeling this huge momentum of energy, I want you guys to imagine like the water going down a pipe, right? Like it's going, like you can't stop it. It's gonna go until it goes down the drain. And this is the same thing with the way we feel always and forever. So if we are feeling a lot of anxiety and stress and overwhelm, and then we're talking to our friends and our family and we're watching the news, it's obvious that it's going to perpetuate and build. And if we're not taking the time to sit with ourselves and say, okay, what's going on with me? Forget about what everybody else is thinking, but how do I feel about this situation? And am I trying to pretend like I don't feel anything? Am I trying to talk myself out of it or be strong? Or am I freaking out in a way that I don't want to? Or am I, obsessing? Am I, acting the way that's gonna like really be able to get me forward? Am I distracting myself? Am I overeating? Am I oversleeping? Am I like binging? Am I continually talking about it? Am I continually talking about it in a way that's obsessive and really hurting my emotions? Right? So being able to sit with yourself and ask yourself, where am I, is number one. Like, it's going to be the thing to help you to get out of that, to get out of this sucked in, perpetuating feeling that really doesn't make you feel good at all. Right? And when you don't feel good, how can you live good? How can you know what your next step is? How can you be the leader for your family? How can you be the leader for your sisters and your brothers and your community? Because you are a leader, you know that. We all are. We all come with some sort of adventure and idea to want to explore in this lifetime. We all come with things that we want to do and become and explore. And through that, we understand that it's going to be challenging. We understand that we're going to be challenged with something, have to figure it out like a puzzle piece, and then move on to the next level, and then move on to the next thing. That makes sense, right? But if we are feeling like a victim and feeling like, why me? Why does this have to happen? This is so unfair. It's not going to allow us to look for opportunity. It's not going to allow us to find that next thing or the next idea or, really, when you think about everything that's happening, it's almost like a crying of the world. How many people are depressed? How many people have anxiety like on a daily? And they just cover it up with, working and cigarettes and hanging out with people all the time and never being alone and taking a whole bunch of medication and TV and movies and going out and drinking and drugs. Like, how many people do that? Shopping. I mean, I used to do all those things. Having sex with people because you feel lonely and you think that that's the answer. Like, it's a cry of the world and of the world herself with nature, because now she's cleansing herself, right? So when we can look at things from a new perspective and say, okay, this is here we are, dun 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 dun. So who am I in this situation? Where am I on that emotional scale? And if in fact I do feel depressed and down, how the hell do I get out of that? And that's what I want to share with you today, okay? Because the number one thing, again, is acknowledging. So, we've acknowledged it, right? We're like, okay, I feel overwhelmed. I am feeling stressed. I am feeling anxiety. I am feeling worried. I am feeling confused, all right? So, we know these things. So, the key thing is something I like to call reflection. Like, we all know what reflection is, but instead of calling it journaling or writing, it's really reflecting. That at the end of the day, that's what it is. No one can tell you how you feel. No one can tell you what's good for you, what's bad for you, what's right for you, what's wrong for you. We can all give you ideas. We can all give you advice. But at the end of the day, no one's lived your life from sperm to baby to womb to now except you. So you know what's right for you. This is your journey. This is your soul. This is your adventure. This is your life. So reflecting is key. Okay, so I want you to first acknowledge. So I told you guys to have your notebooks. Get a notebook, get paper if you don't have any. Write it down, because this really is going to help you. So first you want to acknowledge how you feel. Let's just pull the elephant out of the room and say it. Okay, I feel... And this is a real example. I really did feel overwhelmed, and I felt anxiety. I felt overwhelmed because I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is huge, obviously. I didn't expect it to be this, I wasn't, I guess, taking it as seriously as I thought. And so I was like, oh my gosh, like, what now? Literally, what now? And then I was feeling anxiety because I was like, I wished that I would have had things ready for my people right now. And it's like, okay, like, so let's start there. I feel anxiety. So whatever you feel, put the emotion right there. I feel, right? I am feeling this. And then I want you to ask yourself, okay, why do I feel that? Why am I feeling anxiety? Why? Well, because I feel like I'm unprepared. I feel like I should have things, had them ready. I feel like I am lagging or procrastinating on some things. So then put why, right? So you've been feeling, you're whatever, concerned, regret. All right. And then I want you to ask yourself, so that's been acknowledged. You understand it. That's how you feel. I want you to ask yourself, who am I with that feeling? Who are you? Who am I? Who am I with anxiety? Because I want you guys to remember. So with the emotion, who am I? I want you to remember this. Emotions are not you. They're not you. They're just like little friends that come by and they're like, hey, what's up? I'm here to show you something. Reflect. And then they go away. And then they come back. And they're like, hey, I'm here again. And it becomes so familiar. you know, I'm sure you guys can attest to this. During breakups, you know, I've had 2 major breakups, and both of them, I felt familiar emotions. And I was like, the second time around, I was like, oh, shoot. Like, it's not the person, it's the emotion that's coming here to visit me and tell me something. You know, like, I did love the person, of course, but when these emotions come, they're just there to communicate with you. They're just there to tell you something that's going on within. So you can reflect on that and then decide how you want to move forward. They're not you. Okay? So if people have told you, you're emotional, you're dramatic, you don't know how to do this, you're angry all the time, you don't know how to communicate, so be it. But that's their perception on you. And this is about you really asking yourself, okay, who am I with that emotion? When that emotion comes to visit me, who am I? And when I have anxiety or I have overwhelm, I am confused. I feel small. So I want you to write down the things that you feel, like who are you with that emotion? You know, you uninspired, unmotivated, unfocused, fearful, doubtful, negative. And then who are you without that emotion? So who am I without? And this is a tool that you guys can use forever. Imagine how this will change your relationships. Imagine how this will change your next career move. If you will actually look at these things that you feel and communicate to yourself, who am I with it? That emotion of fear, that emotion of doubt, that emotion of shame, that emotion of regret, that emotion of anxiety. And who am I without that emotion? Game changing. Because then you start to realize, holy crap, I am in control here. I can decide to continue to feel this emotion and be this emotion in terms of this state of mind, or I can do something else to help me get out of it. And we'll talk about the things that we can do to get out of it, but it takes acknowledging it first, okay? And instead of pretending like it's not there and distracting ourselves with 1,000,001 things and it really still hurting us deep down inside. So who am I without it? Oh my gosh, without anxiety, without overwhelm, I am positive, I'm motivated, I'm inspired, I'm loving, I'm kind, I am creative, I'm bold, I feel just alive. Okay, so now that we understand this process of acknowledgement, I'm going to erase this, okay? And if any of you honestly want this, DM me and I will write it out for you and send it to you. So we've acknowledged it. Now I want you to say, okay, thank you. Say thank you to the emotion. Leslie, why the hell would I say thank you to fear? Leslie, why the hell would I say thank you to anxiety and overwhelm? It's killing me and keeping me depressed and small. Well, first of all, that emotion is there to communicate with you. It's like when you get a scab, or I think a better example would be you have a cough, or another example is you have pimples. Clearly there's something going on. Clearly it's there to communicate with you, like, hey, maybe we should take off our makeup, maybe we should get a different face wash. You know, if we get a rash on our skin from something, I get hives. Those hives itch and they're annoying, but they're there to communicate with me that maybe I'm allergic to something, right? So that is the same thing that emotions do. They're there to communicate with you and say, hey, until it gets so overwhelming and obnoxious that you're like, okay, like I'm gonna pay attention now. And so thank the emotion, okay? So next I want you to write, thank you, emotion. So for me it was the anxiety. Thank you, anxiety. I see you. I see you. I acknowledge you. But I am deciding to take the reins here. I am deciding to move forward here. And this is really important. I am the boss. I am the boss. I am in control through my focus. Okay? Because check it out. If we are, again, remember that momentum? Remember the water going down the drain? Remember, like, if you're going down a hill on a bike and you just can't stop, you just gotta go. Or if you're rolling down a hill as kids, I don't know if you did that, or anything else, like if you're on a hill and you have your car parked at the top, you tilt your tires back so that if it happens to roll, it goes into the street, the sidewalk, as opposed to down the hill, because you know it's just gonna take off. This is what happens when we have these emotions. This is what happens when we continue to put the penny inside of that jar of negativity, of pain, of frustration, of fear, of overwhelm. It's going to get bigger and bigger. And that's focusing on that. It's all focus. You guys are master focusers. You understand that? You guys are master focusers. But what are you focusing on? And that's really going to create the state of who you are and how you show up and the things that you do. And as I mentioned earlier, you are all leaders. I can promise you that. You came here with intention. You came here with integrity. You came here wanting to go on an adventure. And through that, knowing that there was going to be challenges and knowing that you could do this because you were strong and you could focus. All right? Was that helpful? Give me some love, you guys. Give me some love. Throw me some hearts if it's helpful. Yay. Okay, so I'm excited. The dog's not. He wants to come in. So now we understand that it's all a matter of what we're focusing on. And that's easier said than done. I know that. I know it's like, okay, Leslie, I've been living over here though. Like, I've been doing this. This is all I know. And I want you guys to understand something about the brain really quick. So, when we think about focus, or better said, habits, we have these things in our brain called neurons. And neurons look like this, right? And then they have these like tails that connect to the other neuron. And if you do this enough, let's say it's brushing your teeth or checking your phone when you wake up in the morning or taking it with you to the bathroom. I'm guilty too, don't worry. Okay, so this becomes this thing. It's just automatic, right? So this is the same thing with our focus. Like, okay, but I keep focusing on the negative, but I keep on thinking that thing, but I can't help it. Like, my mind is everywhere. I can't help it. So first of all, it's acknowledging that what you feel, right? Going through that whole process and making that decision. Because if not, you're kind of surrendering to that emotion. You're saying, I don't have control. This is not, I don't have the ability to do this. I'm really bad at this. And at that point, you're really disempowering yourself. Does that make sense? When you disempower yourself, you give away your rights to focus in a new direction that's going to elevate you. So you have to take that, and this is why it's so important to acknowledge what you feel and to ask yourself who you are with it, who you are without it, And then to decide, okay, thank you for being here, emotion, but I'm now going to choose this. I'm now going to choose to focus on something to elevate me. Thank you for being there to tell me something and to talk to me, but I'm going to take the reins now. I'm going to be the driver now. I'm the boss. Okay? So you got to understand that each of these is a line, and it becomes this automatic thing that we do. So thinking negatively, talking negatively, watching the news obsessively, whatever it is, it becomes something that becomes automatic and fired and wired in our minds. So if we now want to do this thing, but we haven't done that thing, like think positively or breathe for 5 minutes in the morning before checking our phone, or instead of watching the news on the bathroom, reading a scripture from the Quran, the Bible, or a happy quote online, right? If we want to do this new thing now, every time that we're about to do this, we have to first be aware, and it's through acknowledging the emotion. Because guarantee you, when you're doing that thing that isn't conducive to you feeling positive or happy, you're gonna feel like shit. You're gonna feel the opposite. So that's your awareness. Hey, right? And then because you're aware of it and you're like, oh, I feel it again. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I was just watching the news, huh? Or I was just talking about this thing, or I was just thinking this. Okay, so what do I want to do instead? Right? How can I help myself build a new pattern of habit of thought on something else that's going to help me focus in a new way that emotionally is going to help prepare me to be that leader, to be that person, to elevate myself from this state? Does that make sense? Throw me a heart if that makes sense. Okay, so every time, instead of doing this, now we got to do something new. Now in the beginning, you got to understand it's this tug and pull. It's like, you guys have seen those money coin, remember back when we were in school and they showed us the weights, the scales? So that's exactly what's happening. So we have this scale, handy dandy scale. I don't know what the hell how to draw a scale, but let's just say, here's the scale, okay? And here is the negative and positive. So every time we add money over here, this becomes heavier and heavier. But every time we take away 1 penny and then add one over here, now this becomes more. Another example is like 2 cups, right? Same thing, negative, positive. We're filled up to the top here. I mean, we've had it. We're depressed, we're feeling overwhelmed, we're worried, we're concerned. So in order to go over here, we have to basically start here. Okay, I read for 30 minutes today. That was good, that was nice. Instead of what? Because I know you ain't wasting no time. You either sleeping, overeating, overwatching, overdoing something. So what is it? What is it that's making you feel like shit? And then decide to do something new. So it's like taking away from here and adding here. And it's going to take time. You have to like take it away, fill it up. Take it away, fill it up. Same thing here, right? We're taking one away. This path becomes less worn in the brain. It becomes less automatic, and now we have this new thing. And then we do it a little bit less, and it becomes less automatic, and now we have this thing. It's like a path that you walk on a hike. You know the path that's been well traveled because it's obvious. You see it. It's flat ground. There's nothing there. But then there's other paths that are like full of they haven't been walked or they've barely been treaded on. Those are always fun, right? You go on the ones that have barely been treaded on, or you make your own path. That's what's happening here. So we need to understand that that's normal. There's nothing wrong with you. You're gonna feel the way you feel as a natural component of being alive, a natural, beautiful system that communicates with you. And then in turn, it's reflecting on the things that you're doing that's making you feel that way, the things that you're thinking that's making you feel that way, the things that you're talking about that's making you feel that way. And then because now you're paying attention, being able to focus in a new direction that's going to help you elevate your state of mind, your state of being, and give you, like, doesn't it make sense that that would make your life better? Especially right now? Believe me, you don't want to be consumed in this shit. Like, be informed, of course. But right now, you have no choice but to be with yourself. So instead of pretending like everything either doesn't bother you or it's really bothering you and, really verbalizing it or keeping it to yourself and hiding it and watching movies and oversleeping and overeating and dealing in ways, over drinking, over drugging. There's so many ways that we cope that is not productive and conducive to who we really want to become. And until we acknowledge that and realize the things that are blocking us, then and only then can we move forward. It's like having an argument with a friend or someone you love and pretending like it never happened and not talking about it and just throwing it under the rug. Eventually, y'all build resentment. You blow up on each other. It's the same thing with you, but it's you, and you can't escape it. You can't run away from it. You can't leave it. You can't divorce it. It's you. Okay, so now it's like, all right, so I get it. I understand about the brain a little bit, how it works. I understand that makes sense. Negative and positive momentum. Whatever I focus on, obviously, is going to get more attention and build and grow and become more of a habit neurologically in my mind, more of an automatic thing that I do. So then, what am I going to do instead, Leslie? Well, since you asked, okay, so I can't give you that answer, first of all, because I'm not you. Now check this out. Yesterday, I actually started learning Spanish because that's something that I've been wanting to do for a very long time, mucho tiempo. And I can get by, but I want to be able to have workshops in Spanish. I want to be able to talk to my people all over the world in Spanish, and be able to communicate with them the same way that I'm able to communicate with you in English. So that's something that I did yesterday. You might not give a shit about Spanish. You see what I'm saying? So it's really asking yourself the things that are important to you. And what better time to try everything than right now? You're home. Learn Japanese, learn sign language, learn how to draw, learn how to paint, learn how to cut your own hair, learn how to do your own nails. I'm gonna probably learn how to do my own nails because, hey, it is what it is. Also reading 30 minutes a day. You can do that on your Audible. You can do it through Audible. You can do it through your phone. You can do it on the computer. And as a matter of fact, DM me, ask and it is given, and I will send you the PDF book that literally has changed my life and something that I've given to my clients to read as well. Beautiful book. So if you're interested in that, DM me, ask and it is given, and I will send it to you. But these are the things that you have to ask yourself. What's important to me? What's important? And maybe, you know what? I don't even like that question, because right now it might be, you're going to be thinking about finances and all those other things right now. I want you to ask yourself, what am I interested in learning? Or how about this? Who do I want to become? Like, who do you want to become? Do you want to be a leader? Of course, I know you guys want to be a leader, but what do you need to develop within you to be that leader? And that's why I started speaking or learning how to speak Spanish, because I'm like, that's going to help me no matter what. I know I'm not going to waste my time with that, right? And obviously we don't even have time to waste because we're home. But that was just my train of thinking. So what's interesting to me? What do I want to learn? What have I always wanted to learn? And What will bring out the playfulness in me? What will bring out the silliness in me? Because I can guarantee you, if you start to do things that are more silly and more playful, not giving a rip about what people think about you or what others are saying or whatever, go in your backyard, go to the park, just be weird. Just move your body and explore your body and yell and jump and scream and wow, the clouds are amazing. Like, just be weird. I can guarantee you that that's going to shift something inside of you almost instantly. All right? So asking yourself these questions and starting to, every time you acknowledge that emotion that's coming up that's making you feel like poop, you say, okay, we go through all the steps, and then you start to do something else. I'm going to actually put my phone away right now, and I'm going to go read a book for 30 minutes. Put the timer on for 30 minutes, and you don't get up off the couch or your bed or stop reading until the 30-minute timer goes off. I'm going to go and learn how to paint right now. I'm going to watch this YouTube video that's 7 minutes long. Cool. Watch the whole video and don't get on social media and do all those other things that are making you feel like shit until you're done doing that video. You see? It is going to be challenging because automatically you want to go and do that thing, that comfortable thing that makes you feel like crap, that's weirdly comfortable. We're all comfortable with feeling like shit because it's all we know. You don't know what you don't know. So until you start to explore something new and see the change and feel the change, just like diet and nutrition, this is no different. It takes time. And it takes practice. And it takes focus. All right, y'all? Any questions? Thank you all for joining. I appreciate you guys. All right, well, if you don't have any more questions, this will be on my live for, the next 24 hours, and I'm probably going to make this I'll probably do this. I'm going to do this again. The family is here. Let's go, Brad and Oliver. So join me next week, Sunday, same time, for Wins, weekly inspiration and nourishment for the soul. Much love, y'all. Peace.